Enter the resonance revelation and discover that you are a frequency, and gratitude raises your signal instantly. As you listen, you will use gratitude to change your frequency and watch reality attune to your note. Keep watching and feel the world answer your new song. You are a frequency. Introduction. Across the hush of ages, beneath caravan dust, behind garden walls, under the ring of hammers and the rustle of leaves, one hidden thread binds every tale. Resonance. What the elders mouthed in bazaars and what mountains kept in their quiet. This is their single teaching, as old as dawn and as new as breath. All life is frequency. Gems answer with song, spices brighten or fade, lambs murmur wisdom, and tempests arrange themselves into choirs, not because the world alters, but because the heart remembers how to tune. This is not a mere gathering of fables. It is a lantern of unseen lineage, pressed into your hands by those who travel without footprints. As its light moves, chambers open where wisdom burns like clear fire. Merchants behold the mirror within their chest. Bakers taste the intention kneaded into their bread, and sailors chart thunder by melody instead of map. Each story is a myth that happened and a mirror that is happening, both revealing the music that has always lived behind your eyes. You are not entering a library. You are stepping into an apprenticeship. Here you will learn the forgotten arts, emotional alchemy, sacred presence, conscious creation, and the patient tuning of thought. The sages, spirits, and seers who wander these chapters are not speaking across distance. They are speaking to you, as though you sat under the awnings of Damascus, upon the hanging gardens of Babylon, or in the cool breath of Delphi's cave. Listen with the inner ear. These voices are not words on parchment, but living tones, seeking the chord already sleeping in your chest. With each tale, a subtle calibration occurs, like a lyre string drawing itself toward true pitch, guided by the quiet music of the spheres. And when the final syllable falls, know this book does not end. Its last chapter continues in the metronome of your pulse, in the sacrament of your inhaled dawn, in the slight sovereign choices you make when no one sees. Carry the secret forward. You are not merely a witness of life's story, you are its frequency, the sounding note through which beauty gathers, harmony arranges, and wonder enters the world. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Part 1. Discovering Resonance. Chapter 1. The Resonance Revelation. In the crystal caves of ancient Phoenicia, where light danced through translucent walls like frozen rainbows, Master Jeweler Brandon Mitchell sat frustrated before his workbench. Despite decades of expertise, the magnificent sapphire before him refused to sing. Every master jeweler knew the secret. Truly exceptional gems produced pure musical tones when cut properly. But this stone remained stubbornly silent, despite Brandon's increasingly aggressive attempts to awaken its voice. "Perhaps," came a whispered voice that seemed to emanate from the crystals themselves. "You are trying to force what can only be invited." Brandon turned to find an ancient woman, her silver hair catching rainbow light like a prism. Her eyes held the depth of gemstones, reflecting wisdom beyond mortal years. "Watch," she said, approaching the workbench. She closed her eyes and became perfectly still. Gradually, a soft smile graced her features. To Brandon's astonishment, the sapphire began to hum with a pure, ethereal tone. "How did you—" he began. "The stone didn't need different cutting," she interrupted. "It needed different frequency." She placed her hand over Brandon's heart. "Just as these crystals sing at different pitches, every human heart broadcasts its own vibration. When you approached with frustration, you dampened the sapphire's natural resonance. When I approached with joy, it sang freely." She guided Brandon's hands to the stone. "Close your eyes. Feel gratitude for this moment, this gift of witnessing beauty. Let appreciation fill every cell." As Brandon's tension melted into genuine thankfulness, the sapphire's song grew stronger. Soon other gems on his workbench joined the chorus, creating an orchestra of crystalline frequencies. "You see," the sage continued, "humans are like these precious stones. Each carries a natural resonance that can be dampened by lower vibrations or amplified by higher ones. Gratitude is one of the swiftest ways to raise your frequency." The truth of her words resonated through Brandon's entire being. Every gem that had ever frustrated him suddenly made perfect sense. They had been mirrors reflecting his own vibrational state. "This wisdom is offered now to you. Your heart, like a precious stone, carries its own perfect frequency. Through conscious gratitude, you can tune yourself to ever higher vibrations. Practice the jeweler's meditation. Sit quietly and imagine your heart as a flawless crystal. Bring to mind 3 things you're deeply grateful for. With each one, feel appreciation filling your body like pure light. Notice how your energy shifts, becoming clearer and brighter. Practice this whenever you feel energetically dampened, letting gratitude raise your frequency like the master jeweler's song. Remember, you are not just observing beauty. You are beauty's instrument, capable of broadcasting the most magnificent frequencies through the simple power of appreciation." Chapter 2. The Merchant's Mirror. In the bustling spice markets of ancient Damascus, where aromatic clouds of cinnamon and cardamom danced through narrow alleyways, master merchant Jessica Campbell struggled to maintain her legendary composure. A particularly difficult customer had just accused her of dishonesty over the weight of her saffron. "How dare they question my integrity?" she muttered, arranging her precious spices with trembling hands. The anger felt like fire in her chest, and strangely she noticed her finest spices seemed to lose their vibrant colors when she touched them in this state. "Interesting, isn't it?" came a melodious voice. Jessica turned to find an elderly blind woman, her clouded eyes somehow radiating more wisdom than any seeing eyes she'd encountered. "Your emotions leave traces on everything they touch." The woman ran her fingers over Jessica's spice jars, pausing at each one. "This cardamom holds the residue of yesterday's joy. This cinnamon carries morning's peace. But this saffron—" She clicked her tongue. "It bears the weight of your current fury. How can you know this?" "You cannot see," Jessica whispered. "I see with the eyes of frequency," the blind sage replied. "Every emotion broadcasts a unique vibration. Lower frequencies, anger, resentment, fear, they dampen the natural radiance of everything they encounter. Higher frequencies, joy, peace, compassion, they amplify life's inherent beauty." The woman reached into her robe and produced a small mirror of polished bronze. Watch your reflection as you recall the customer's accusation. Jessica's face darkened visibly. Now take a deep breath and find compassion. Perhaps they too have been cheated before. Perhaps they carry wounds that have nothing to do with you. As Jessica's breathing slowed and her perspective shifted, her reflection seemed to glow. To her amazement, the saffron threads in their glass jars suddenly appeared more golden, more alive. "You see?" The sage smiled. "You are not meant to suppress emotions, but to transform them. This is the ancient art of emotional alchemy, transmuting lower frequencies into higher ones through the breath of awareness. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every emotional reaction is an opportunity for frequency elevation. Through conscious transmutation, you can transform triggers into portals of higher vibration. Practice the merchant's breath. When a challenging emotion arises, place one hand on your heart. Breathe deeply into the feeling without resistance. With each exhale, imagine transforming its heavy energy into golden light. Notice how your frequency shifts, lifting you from reaction to response. Your emotions are not obstacles. They are the raw material of your spiritual alchemy. Remember, you are not at the mercy of your reactions. You are the master alchemist of your own frequency. Chapter 3. The Shepherd's Secret. In the misty highlands of ancient Anatolia, where rolling hills met star-filled skies, Shepherd Timothy Rodriguez tended his flock with a troubled mind. His thoughts circled endlessly around fears of wolf attacks and harsh winters, making even the sweetest spring days feel heavy with worry. One peculiar ram in his flock, distinguished by spiral horns that seemed to catch starlight, always kept separate from the others. Timothy noticed that while most sheep grazed where he directed them, this ram led itself to the richest patches of grass, found the cleanest springs, and somehow stayed untouched by predators. "You think too loudly," the ram suddenly spoke one moonlit evening, causing Timothy to stumble backward in shock. "Your thoughts broadcast like thunder across these hills." After his initial disbelief subsided, Timothy managed to ask, "What do you mean, broadcast?" "Every thought sends ripples through the invisible world," the ram explained, pawing the earth meaningfully. "When you think of wolves, you send out a frequency that attracts them. When you dwell on scarcity, the land itself responds with less abundance." The ram touched its spiral horn to a nearby flower, which seemed to glow in response. "I prosper because I maintain thoughts of plenty. I see rich grass, and rich grass appears. I imagine clear water, and springs reveal themselves." Timothy watched in amazement as butterflies and birds began gathering around the ram's peaceful presence. "Your anxious thoughts create a storm that drives away the very blessings you seek," the ram continued. "But you can learn to tune them, like adjusting the strings of a shepherd's lyre." Over the following weeks, the ram taught Timothy to observe his thought patterns and consciously shift them toward abundance. His flock grew healthier, predators chose easier paths, and the land itself seemed to flourish under his transformed mental frequencies. This wisdom is offered now to you. Your thoughts are not mere internal whispers. They are broadcasts that shape the very fabric of your reality. Through conscious thought tuning, you can transform the frequency of your mental transmissions. Practice the shepherd's thought tuning. Sit quietly and observe your mental flock, your recurring thoughts. Notice which ones carry frequencies of lack or fear. Now, like a skilled shepherd, gently guide them toward greener pastures of abundance and possibility. Watch how each positive thought creates ripples of attraction in your life's landscape. Remember, you are not a passive thinker. You are the conscious broadcaster of frequencies that shape your world. Chapter 4. The Baker's Breakthrough. In the ancient stone-walled bakery of Mesopotamia, where dawn's first light filtered through flour-dusted air, Michelle Sullivan kneaded her dough with unusual force. For 3 days, her bread had refused to rise properly, remaining stubbornly dense despite her perfect measurements and technique. "Strange," she muttered. "The same recipe yields different results each day." She recalled yesterday's perfectly risen loaves, created during a moment of pure joy when the morning birds had serenaded her work. Today, frustrated by a series of small annoyances, her bread seemed to mirror her heavy mood. "Ah, you've noticed," came a melodious voice. Michelle turned to find an elderly woman dusted head to toe in flour, her white hair indistinguishable from the powdery coating that covered her. The bread always knows. The flour-covered sage approached Michelle's workbench, placing her hands over the dough without touching it. "Feel the energy flowing from your hands? Bread is more than flour and water. It's a living conversation between baker and ingredients. Your intentions are like yeast, causing expansion or contraction." To demonstrate, she asked Michelle to close her eyes and recall her happiest memory while kneading a fresh batch. As Michelle remembered her grandmother's loving kitchen, the dough beneath her fingers became inexplicably warm and began rising before its time. "Now, think of this morning's frustrations," the sage instructed. Immediately, the dough seemed to deflate slightly. "You see, the universe's finest ingredients still require the proper frequency to reach their potential." The sage reached into her flour-caked robes and produced a small pouch of mysterious spices. "Add a pinch of these to your morning's first thoughts, not your dough. Your intentions must rise before your bread can follow." Over the next weeks, Michelle discovered that by setting conscious intentions at dawn, before touching a single ingredient, her bread achieved heights she'd never imagined possible. The entire village soon spoke of loaves that seemed to carry blessings baked into their very crust. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every creation carries the frequency of its creator's intentions. Through conscious intention setting, you can infuse your daily works with elevated energy that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Practice. The baker's morning ritual. Before your day's first task, sit quietly in the dawn light. Like measuring precious ingredients, carefully choose the intentions you'll weave into your hours. Feel each positive intention warming in your heart like dough in a proper oven. Let your consciousness rise with the sun, knowing that all you touch today will be infused with this elevated frequency. Remember, you are not just creating external results. You are baking light into every moment through the sacred ingredients of your intentions. Chapter 5. The Artist's Awakening. In the hidden valleys of ancient Persia, where crushed lapis lazuli and golden ochre painted the sunset sky, master artist Aaron Phillips stared at his lifeless canvases with growing despair. Though his technique was flawless, His paintings seemed to lack the spark of divine fire that marked truly transcendent art. "These colors refuse to dance," he sighed, mixing another batch of precious pigments. Despite using the finest materials, emerald greens from distant mountains, deep crimsons from rare insects, purple worth more than gold, his works remained somehow flat, like butterflies pinned behind glass. One evening, as frustration peaked, a strange figure appeared in his studio, a woman whose skin seemed to shift through rainbow hues as she moved. "Your colors sleep because your heart sleeps," she said, touching a finished painting. Where her fingers passed, the pigments briefly shimmered with impossible life. "I am a master of color craft," Aaron protested. "Every shade is perfectly balanced." "Balance without passion is just arithmetic," she laughed, her voice creating ripples of color in the air. "Watch." She guided Aaron's hand to his paints, instructing him to recall his deepest joy. As childhood memories of dancing in summer rain filled him, the blue pigment beneath his fingers began to pulse with subtle light. "Now touch the red while holding anger," she instructed. The paint remained dull. "Feel love instead." Immediately, the red began to glow like a living ember. "You see? Colors are not just substances. They are frequencies of emotion made visible. Every shade resonates with specific feelings. Master your inner palette, and your outer one will come alive." The color mystic taught Aaron to match each pigment with its emotional counterpart. Yellows with wonder, greens with serenity, purples with mystery. Soon his paintings began to emit tangible frequencies that viewers could feel in their bodies. Landscapes that brought tears of joy, portraits that transmitted peace, abstract works that awakened divine remembrance. This wisdom is offered now to you. Your emotional state broadcasts a frequency that affects everything you create. Through conscious feeling attunement, you can infuse your works with living light that transforms both creator and witness. Practice the artist's color meditation. Sit before something beautiful, a flower, a sunset, a beloved's face. Feel the emotions it stirs in your heart. Notice how each feeling has its own color in your inner vision. Practice matching your frequency to different emotional hues, like an artist mixing their palette. Let your heart paint with light. Remember, you are not just creating in the physical world. You are painting with the very frequencies of consciousness itself. Chapter 6. The Healer's Harmony. In the sacred caves of ancient Bharat, where healing herbs grew in moonlit grottos, medicine woman Stephanie Martinez noticed a puzzling pattern. Some days her remedies worked like divine nectar, while other times the same medicine seemed barely effective. The mystery deepened when she observed that her most miraculous healings often occurred on days when her own spirit felt particularly light. On mornings heavy with personal worries, even her strongest poultices worked sluggishly. "Your medicines can only rise to the level of your own frequency," came a melodious voice from the cave's depths. An ancient woman emerged, her silver hair adorned with tiny singing bowls that chimed with her every movement. "Watch." The bowl weaver approached a sick child, but instead of immediately treating him, she first began humming a strange tone. The tiny bowls in her hair resonated in harmony, and her entire being seemed to shimmer with invisible light. Only then did she administer a simple tea, and the child's fever broke almost instantly. Before you heal others, you must tune yourself, she explained, placing a singing bowl in Stephanie's hands. Every remedy carries the frequency of its healer. A worried doctor creates worried medicine. A peaceful healer infuses peace into every cure. She taught Stephanie to begin each healing session by first raising her own vibration through sacred sounds and breaths. Your body is the first medicine, the bowl weaver explained. When you elevate its frequency, everything you touch becomes elevated. Soon, Stephanie discovered that by taking time to harmonize herself before treating patients, her success rate soared. Even simple remedies became remarkably potent when administered from a state of heightened frequency. Her cave clinic became known as a place where medicine sang with healing light. This wisdom is offered now to you. Before attempting to elevate any situation or help any person, first raise your own frequency. Your state of being is the foundation that determines the potency of all your actions. Practice. The healer's preparation. Before any important task, sit in sacred silence. Like a singing bowl being struck, let your entire being resonate with pure intention. Feel your frequency rising through gentle breaths and peaceful thoughts. Only when you feel your own energy elevated should you proceed with your work. Remember, you are not just a channel for healing. You are the very instrument through which higher frequencies flow into the world. Chapter 7. The Sailor's Song. In the storm-tossed waters of ancient Phoenicia, where tempests churned the Mediterranean into mountains of foam, Captain Christopher Torres stood at his ship's helm with growing concern. The waves rose like liquid towers, while dark clouds swirled ominously above. 3 days of chaos, he muttered, watching his crew struggle against the relentless sea. Despite his decades of seafaring wisdom, this storm seemed to defy all traditional navigation techniques. As lightning split the sky, an ethereal figure emerged from the spray, a woman with hair like flowing seaweed and eyes that reflected the ocean's depths. "You fight against the water's song," she said, her voice carrying clearly despite the howling wind. "Listen instead." Listen? To this mayhem? Christopher gestured at the thundering waves. The sea sage smiled. "The storm isn't chaos. It's music you haven't learned to hear." She placed her hand on the ship's wheel, and Christopher felt a strange vibration pulse through the wood. Every wave has its rhythm, every wind its melody. Match their frequency, and they become your dance partners rather than your opponents. She guided him to close his eyes and feel the ship's motion, not as a battle to be won, but as a pattern to be joined. "Your resistance creates dissonance," she explained. "When you fight the ocean's rhythm, you only amplify the storm." Following her guidance, Christopher began swaying with the waves instead of bracing against them. He hummed a deep tone that somehow matched the ocean's roar. Gradually, impossibly, the waters around his ship began to calm, though the storm raged on at a distance. "The sea responds to your frequency," the sage revealed. "Panic attracts turbulence. Peace attracts harmony. This is true of all natural forces. They mirror back whatever vibration you offer them." Over the coming months, Christopher mastered the art of frequency navigation. His ship became known as the calmest vessel on the Mediterranean, somehow finding gentle passages through the fiercest storms. Other captains spoke in whispers of how the very weather seemed to sing in harmony with his course. This wisdom is offered now to you. The forces of life respond not to your resistance, but to your resonance. Through conscious frequency matching, you can transform apparent chaos into collaborative harmony. Practice. The sailor's synchronization. When facing any turbulent situation, pause and feel its underlying rhythm. Like waves on an ocean, every challenge has its natural frequency. Rather than opposing the energy, align with it. Let your breath match its pace. Feel your consciousness riding its rhythm until resistance dissolves into dance. Remember, you are not at the mercy of life's storms. You are a master conductor of nature's symphony, able to harmonize with any frequency you encounter. Chapter 8. The Scholar's Surprise. In the sacred libraries of ancient Alexandria, where scrolls held secrets older than the pyramids themselves, scribe Daniel Anderson found himself puzzled by an unusual phenomenon. Some days the ancient texts seemed to reveal profound mysteries with ease, while on others the same passages appeared as meaningless scratches on papyrus. "These hieroglyphs mock me," he sighed one evening, squinting at a particularly cryptic scroll. The flickering oil lamps cast dancing shadows across walls lined with thousands of manuscripts, each one whispering of hidden wisdom. As he struggled with the translation, a peculiar librarian emerged from between the towering shelves, an elderly man who seemed to float slightly above the ground, his feet never quite touching the stone floor. "The texts aren't hiding their secrets," the levitating sage said softly. "They're waiting for you to rise to their frequency." Daniel watched in astonishment as the man gently touched a scroll, causing the symbols to briefly shimmer with golden light. "Sacred knowledge exists at higher vibrations," the sage explained. "When your consciousness dwells in mundane states, you see only ink. But when you elevate your frequency—" The floating curator taught Daniel a series of breathing patterns and hand mudras that seemed to alter his perception. As his awareness shifted, the previously impenetrable texts began revealing layers of meaning he'd never noticed before. "Every scroll resonates at the frequency of the wisdom it contains," the sage revealed. "Divine knowledge can only be accessed through divine states. This is why the most profound secrets have remained hidden in plain sight throughout the ages." In the months that followed, Daniel mastered the art of elevated reading. He discovered that by consciously raising his frequency before studying, entire libraries of knowledge opened themselves to his understanding. Scholars marveled at how he could extract deep insights from texts others found incomprehensible. "This wisdom is offered now to you. All knowledge carries its own vibrational signature. Through conscious frequency elevation, you can access levels of understanding that remain invisible to the ordinary mind." Practice. The scholar's state. Before studying anything of importance, prepare your consciousness as sacred vessel. Sit in silence with spine straight. Draw breath slowly through your nose while visualizing golden light filling your mind. Feel your awareness expanding beyond its usual boundaries. Only when you sense your frequency has risen should you approach the knowledge you seek. Remember, you are not just reading words. You are tuning yourself to the very frequency of wisdom itself. Chapter 9. The Dancer's Discovery. In the temple gardens of ancient Cambodia, where sacred dancers moved like living prayers among blooming lotus flowers, temple dancer Amber Chen felt increasingly frustrated. Despite years of perfect technique, Her performances seemed to lack the transformative power of the legendary dancers whose stories she'd studied. One muggy evening, as fireflies painted patterns in the air, she noticed something peculiar. When she danced near a wilting flower with a heavy heart, its petals drooped further. Yet, when she spun past with joy, the same blossom seemed to lift toward her movement. "You've discovered the secret of kinetic resonance," came a melodious voice. A strange figure emerged from the shadows, a woman whose every step left ripples of light in the air, as if reality itself danced with her movements. "Watch closely." The rhythm sage began a simple walking pattern, but Amber gasped as she saw waves of golden energy flowing from the woman's gestures, causing nearby plants to sway in harmony. When she shifted her rhythm, the very air seemed to pulse with new vitality. "Movement is frequency made visible," the sage explained, her fingers trailing streams of light. "Every gesture broadcasts energy. Dance isn't about steps. It's about consciously directing the flow of vibrational forces." She taught Amber to feel the subtle currents of energy moving through her body before each performance. "First, become the frequency you wish to share," she instructed. "Then let your dance be the bridge that carries others to that same vibration." Soon, Amber noticed that when she performed from elevated states, audiences would synchronize with her energy. Tears would flow during tender sequences. Joy would ripple through the crowd during celebratory movements. Her dance became a way of lifting hundreds of hearts into higher frequencies simultaneously. "The body speaks a language older than words," the rhythm sage revealed. "When you move with conscious intention, you become a tuning fork that helps others remember their own divine resonance. This wisdom is offered now to you. Your every gesture ripples through the field of consciousness around you. Through mindful movement, you can become a living transmission of elevated frequency." Practice the sacred motion. Before any important interaction, take a moment to feel the energy in your body. Let your movements become deliberate and graceful, knowing they carry vibrational influence. Whether walking, gesturing, or simply breathing, move as if painting light in the air. Feel yourself as a conscious conductor of life's silent symphony. Remember, you are not just moving through space. You are dancing the very frequencies that transform reality. Chapter 10. The Gardener's Gift. In the hanging gardens of ancient Babylon, where cascading terraces burst with botanical wonders from across the known world, botanist Kevin Murphy tended his plants with growing confusion. Despite his extensive knowledge of soil and seasons, some gardens thrived while others withered, even when given identical care. One particularly puzzling morning, he noticed a patch of withered roses beside an explosively blooming bed of the same variety. As he knelt to examine them, a shimmer in the air caught his attention. A figure materialized, an ancient being with skin like tree bark and hair of flowing vines. "You see only with your eyes," the tree spirit whispered, its voice rustling like leaves. "Plants respond not to your techniques, but to your frequency." "Frequency?" Kevin asked, watching in amazement as flowers turned to follow the spirit's movements like sunflowers tracking light. The spirit gestured to the 2 rose beds. "Here," it said, touching the thriving roses, "you planted with joy, humming your mother's lullaby. But here," indicating the withered patch, "you worked with frustration, your thoughts dwelling on the palace overseer's demands." The Spirit taught Kevin to attune his consciousness to the subtle vibrations of growing things. Every plant pulses with life force, it explained. When you garden with love, your frequency nurtures their vitality. When you work with stress or haste, your discord disrupts their natural rhythms. Kevin learned to feel the unique resonance of each plant, matching his energy to their needs. His gardens soon became famous throughout Babylon, with flowers blooming out of season and fruits growing to extraordinary size. Visitors spoke of feeling inexplicably uplifted just walking among his plants. The secret is communion, the tree spirit revealed. Nature responds to the frequency of love not because it's magical, but because love is the fundamental vibration of life itself. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every living thing responds to the frequency you bring to your interactions. Through conscious attunement to life's rhythms, you can nurture growth in all you touch. Practice. The garden attunement. Before any creative or nurturing task, pause to feel the life force flowing through your hands. Let love fill your consciousness like sunlight filling leaves. Whether tending plants, preparing food, or caring for others, work as if weaving strands of light. Feel yourself as a channel for life's nourishing frequency. Remember, you are not just performing actions. You are broadcasting the very vibration that awakens life's deepest potential. Part 2. Transforming through frequency. Chapter 11. The Comedian's Cure. In the great halls of ancient Persia, where the Shah's court sparkled with golden opulence and deadly intrigue, court jester Ryan Walsh discovered an extraordinary power hidden within his craft. While other entertainers relied on mockery and base humor, Ryan noticed something peculiar. When he performed with pure joy and clever wit, a tangible wave of energy would sweep through the audience. One evening, as ministers plotted and courtiers schemed, a mysterious laugh echoed through the chamber. Ryan turned to find an ancient figure draped in rainbow silks, his eyes twinkling like stars. "You've stumbled upon the sacred vibration of mirth," the giggling guru said, his voice melodious with suppressed laughter. "Watch closely," the sage instructed, gesturing to a wilting flower in a nearby vase. He approached it with a deep, genuine belly laugh, and before Ryan's astonished eyes, the flower straightened and bloomed. True laughter carries the highest frequency in the human repertoire. It can transform lead into gold, hatred into love, sickness into health. The guru taught Ryan the subtle art of conscious comedy, how different types of humor resonated at different frequencies, how timing could build waves of therapeutic energy, how genuine joy could instantly elevate an entire gathering's vibration. Foolishness that demeans others creates dense, heavy frequencies, the sage explained. But wisdom wrapped in gentle humor, that rings like temple bells through the soul. Ryan began crafting his performances with new awareness. He learned to feel the collective frequency of his audience and skillfully raise it through carefully chosen jokes and stories. Soon, ministers who arrived scowling would leave with lightened hearts. Feuding nobles found themselves laughing together despite ancient grudges. Even the Shah's chronic headaches seemed to vanish during Ryan's performances. Laughter is medicine precisely because it breaks the pattern of lower frequencies, the guru revealed. In that moment of genuine mirth, humans naturally rise to their highest vibration. This wisdom is offered now to you. Conscious humor is not mere entertainment. It is a powerful tool for instant frequency elevation. Through skillful use of joy and wit, you can transform any environment's energy. Practice the laughter alchemy. Before entering challenging situations, take a moment to find genuine amusement in life's divine play. Let your smile come from deep appreciation rather than nervous tension. Share humor that uplifts rather than divides. Feel how authentic joy naturally raises your frequency, and notice how others cannot help but resonate with that elevated state. Remember, you are not just sharing jokes. You are conducting an orchestra of human frequencies toward their highest harmony. Chapter 12. The Metalsmith's Magic. In the ancient forges of Damascus, where master craftsmen transformed raw metal into legendary blades, blacksmith Jennifer Lopez struggled with an inexplicable mystery. Despite using identical techniques and materials, some of her creations emerged remarkably stronger than others, possessing an almost supernatural resilience. One sweltering afternoon, as she hammered a glowing blade in frustration, an ethereal figure materialized in the forge smoke, a being whose skin gleamed like polished bronze, trailing sparks with every movement. Your gratitude determines your greatness, the fire elemental whispered, its voice crackling like embers. Metal remembers the frequency of its forging. Jennifer watched in wonder as the spirit touched a nearby sword. The metal's structure became visible, a crystalline lattice that shifted and strengthened as waves of grateful energy passed through it. "Here," the spirit gestured to her finest blade. "You worked with thanksgiving, remembering the earth that yielded the ore. But here," indicating a brittle piece, "you forged with resentment, cursing the heat and labor." The elemental taught her to infuse each strike with conscious appreciation, gratitude for the metal's malleability, for the fire's transformation, for the ancient lineage of smiths whose knowledge flowed through her hands. Every material vibrates at the frequency of the consciousness that shapes it, it explained. When you work with gratitude, you literally reorganize matter at its deepest level. Jennifer learned to enter a state of profound thanksgiving before touching her tools. Her creations soon gained fame throughout Damascus, with weapons that never dulled and tools that seemed blessed with extraordinary durability. Other smiths whispered that her forge rang with an unusual resonance like distant temple bells. "The secret is sacred reciprocity," the fire spirit revealed. "Matter itself responds to appreciation not because it's sentient, but because gratitude carries the highest creative frequency in the universe. This wisdom is offered now to you. Everything you touch is shaped by the frequency of your appreciation. Through conscious gratitude, you can transform not just materials, but the very fabric of reality." Practice the gratitude forge. Before any work, pause to feel genuine appreciation for the materials, tools, and opportunity before you. Let thankfulness fill your hands like golden light. Whether writing, cooking, building, or creating in any form, work as if blessing each moment with grateful awareness. Feel yourself as a conductor of the universe's highest creative frequency. Remember, you are not just performing tasks. You are forging reality itself through the transformative power of gratitude. Chapter 13. The Storyteller's Secret. In the firelit caves of ancient Ireland, where druids and bards kept wisdom alive through oral tradition, wandering storyteller Matthew Rodriguez noticed something extraordinary. When he told tales with passionate intensity, Listeners would become surrounded by shimmering fields of colored light that only he could see. One misty evening, as he performed for a village gathering, an ethereal figure emerged from the shadows, an ancient word weaver whose speech created visible patterns in the air. "You've glimpsed the secret language of reality," the sage whispered, their voice weaving golden threads. "Stories told with sacred passion become living frequencies that transform consciousness." Matthew watched in amazement as the word weaver demonstrated, telling a simple tale about a flower. As they spoke, actual flowers materialized in the air, blooming and fading with the narrative's energy. "Words carry vibrational blueprints," the sage explained. "When spoken with pure creative force, they shape the very substance of existence. Notice how different emotions color the energy differently." The word weaver taught Matthew to feel the resonance of each word, to weave tales that created specific frequency patterns. Stories of courage sparked golden flames around listeners. Tales of love produced rose-colored halos. Wisdom teachings generated purple spirals of light. "Most bards merely entertain," the sage revealed, "but those who understand narrative frequency can heal wounds, awaken potential, and reshape reality through conscious storytelling." Matthew learned to craft his tales with new awareness, building precisely calibrated energy fields that transformed his audiences. Feuding clans found peace after hearing his stories of reconciliation. Ill children healed while listening to tales of renewal. Entire villages' fortunes changed through parables of abundance. "The secret is sacred narrative consciousness," the word weaver shared. "Stories are not mere entertainment. They are energetic technologies for transmitting specific frequencies of transformation. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every word you speak carries vibrational power. Through conscious storytelling, you can create fields of transformation that elevate all who listen. Practice the story weaving. Before speaking, feel the frequency you wish to transmit. Let that energy inform your word choice and rhythm. Whether sharing experiences, teaching others, or simply conversing, speak as if weaving light through sound. Feel yourself as a channel for narrative frequencies that awaken humanity's highest potential. Remember, you are not just telling stories. You are conducting the very frequencies that shape reality's unfolding tale. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Astronomer's Alignment. In the silent heights of ancient Babylonia, where ziggurats pierced the heavens like arrows of stone, star mapper Sarah Johnson encountered a peculiar phenomenon. Though her calculations were precise and her instruments exact, the clarity of celestial observations would inexplicably shift from night to night. One evening, as she charted the dance of planets from her tower, a shimming figure materialized beside her, an ethereal being whose skin sparkled with constellations, wrapped in a cloak of living starlight. "Your sight is limited by your symphony," the celestial sage whispered, voice chiming like crystal spheres. "The cosmos speaks only to those who match its song." Sarah watched in wonder as the being guided her hand to her astronomical tools. Suddenly, she could see how her own energy created subtle distortions in her observations. Anxiety clouding the stars like cosmic static, while peaceful clarity revealed hidden celestial secrets. The universe vibrates at the frequency of perfect harmony, the sage explained, drawing patterns in the air that mirrored the stellar movements above. When your personal rhythm aligns with this cosmic dance, the veils between worlds grow thin. The star being taught Sarah to attune herself to different celestial frequencies, the stately pulse of Saturn, the passionate throb of Mars, the serene whisper of the moon. She learned that each astronomical body sang its own note in the universal symphony. Most observers merely look outward, the sage revealed, but those who understand stellar resonance can merge their consciousness with the very music of the spheres. Sarah began preparing for her observations with new awareness, carefully harmonizing her energy with the particular celestial bodies she wished to study. Soon she was mapping previously invisible star patterns and predicting celestial events with uncanny accuracy. Other astronomers whispered that her charts seemed to capture not just positions, but the very essence of the heavens. The secret is sacred attunement, the star being shared. The cosmos reveals its mysteries not to those who merely watch, but to those who learn to dance with its divine rhythms. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every celestial body pulses with specific frequency patterns. Through conscious resonance, you can align yourself with these cosmic vibrations and access their transformative power. Practice the stellar synchronization. Before any important endeavor, take a moment to feel the cosmic rhythms around you. Align your breath with the steady pulse of the stars. Whether seeking guidance, making decisions, or simply being present, move as if conducting the music of the spheres. Feel yourself as an instrument in the universal orchestra. Remember, you are not just observing life. You are participating in the grand celestial symphony that orchestrates all existence. Chapter 15. The Perfumer's Presence. In the aromatic gardens of ancient Persia, where master perfumers distilled nature's essences into sacred oils, fragrance creator Megan Parker discovered an extraordinary phenomenon. The same botanical ingredients, processed identically, would produce dramatically different effects on those who experienced them. One moonlit evening, as she distilled night-blooming jasmine, an ethereal figure emerged from the steam, a luminous being whose form shifted like incense smoke, trailing invisible aromas that evoked memories of paradise. Scents carry the signature of the consciousness that creates them, the aromatic spirit whispered, its voice like wind through flowering vines. Each essence remembers the frequency of its extraction. Megan watched in amazement as the spirit touched various vessels in her workshop. The molecular structures of the oils became visible, some vibrating with harmonious patterns, others displaying chaotic arrangements. Here, the spirit indicated her most renowned perfume. You worked in a state of pure presence, honoring the soul of each flower. But here, gesturing to a lifeless blend, you created while distracted, your thoughts scattered like fallen petals. The ethereal being taught her to enter profound stillness before beginning any extraction. In this sacred silence, she could perceive the unique vibrational signature of each plant, each spice, each resin, and how to preserve their essential frequencies through the transformation process. Most perfumers merely combine scents, the spirit revealed, but those who understand aromatic frequencies can capture and transmit states of consciousness through pure presence. Megan learned to infuse her creations with specific vibrational intentions. Her perfumes gained fame throughout Persia for their extraordinary effects, some bringing immediate peace, others awakening inspiration, still others facilitating spiritual connection. Other perfumers noticed that even her workshop carried an unusual atmosphere, as if reality itself was more vivid within its walls. The secret is sacred presence, the aromatic spirit shared. Scents are not mere sensations. They are bridges between ordinary awareness and higher states of being. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every moment carries its own essential fragrance. Through conscious presence, you can distill the very essence of transformation from life's raw materials. Practice. The presence distillation. Before any creative act, become absolutely still and present. Let your awareness expand like perfume filling a room. Whether working, relating, or simply being, move as if extracting the sacred essence from each moment. Feel yourself as both the alchemist and the aromatic offering. Remember, you are not just experiencing life. You are distilling its highest frequencies into vessels of transformation. Chapter 16. The Architect's Awakening. In the sun-drenched valleys of ancient Anatolia, where sacred temples bridged earth and sky, master builder Jason Turner discovered something extraordinary. The structures he designed while in deep meditation seemed to affect visitors differently. People reported spontaneous healings, visions, and states of profound peace within these spaces. One dawn, as he traced geometric patterns in the sand before beginning a new temple, a radiant figure emerged from the morning mist, a luminous being whose form seemed composed of living geometric patterns, each angle and curve pulsing with golden light. "Your buildings breathe the frequency of their conception," the geometry sage whispered, voice resonating like crystal bowls. "Every angle holds the vibration present at its birth." Jason watched in wonder as the being drew a simple triangle in the sand. The shape began to glow, emanating a tangible frequency that made the air hum. With each new pattern added, the frequencies shifted and combined into complex harmonies. "Sacred geometry is not mere measurement," the sage revealed, weaving light into intricate mandalas. "It is the crystallized music of creation itself. When shaped with elevated consciousness, these patterns become instruments that tune human frequency." The luminous one taught Jason to enter profound states of harmony before touching his architectural tools. From this heightened awareness, he could perceive how different geometric configurations affected the flow of life force, creating specific vibrational environments. "Most builders stack stone upon stone," the sage explained, "but those who understand geometric frequency can construct spaces that automatically raise consciousness." Jason learned to design with new intention, carefully crafting each angle and proportion to generate specific energy fields. His temples became famous throughout Anatolia, some facilitating deep meditation, others inspiring creativity, still others promoting healing. Other architects noticed that even his construction sites felt different, as if the very process of building had become a sacred ritual. "The secret is sacred geometry," the being shared. "Architecture is not mere shelter. It is the art of shaping space into frequency generators that elevate all who enter. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every form you create carries vibrational impact. Through conscious design, you can shape environments that naturally raise frequency and consciousness. Practice. The sacred space shaping. Before creating any structure, from a simple furniture arrangement to an entire building, pause to align with higher frequency. Feel how different shapes and configurations affect energy flow. Whether designing, building, or simply arranging your environment, move as if conducting geometric symphonies. Feel yourself as both the architect and the living blueprint of transformation. Remember, you are not just organizing space, you are creating frequency chambers that shape the evolution of consciousness itself. Chapter 17. The Midwife's Miracle. In the mist-veiled mountains of ancient Tibet, where life's first cries echoed through sacred valleys, birth tender Nicole Foster noticed a peculiar pattern. Some birthing chambers remained peaceful regardless of circumstance, while others descended into chaos despite ideal conditions. One snowy evening, as she prepared herbs for a difficult delivery, a radiant figure materialized beside her, a luminous being whose form rippled like amniotic waters, crowned with a spiral of golden light that pulsed in time with the universe's heartbeat. "The chamber mirrors the midwife's melody," the birth spirit whispered, voice gentle as a mother's lullaby. "Every birth resonates with the frequency held during its passage." Nicole watched in awe as the being touched her hands. Suddenly, she could see waves of energy flowing from her fingertips, affecting both mother and child. When her thoughts scattered in worry, the waves became turbulent. When she centered in peace, they flowed like silk. "Birth exists between worlds," the spirit revealed, weaving patterns of light around her. "The frequency you maintain creates the bridge souls cross to enter earthly form." The luminous one taught Nicole to prepare for births by first birthing a higher state within herself. She learned to create sacred sound chambers using only her presence, maintaining frequencies that naturally calmed both mother and child through the intensity of labor. "Most midwives focus only on the physical," the spirit explained. "But those who understand birth frequency can midwife consciousness itself." Nicole began approaching each birth as a frequency artist, carefully crafting energetic environments that supported peaceful transition. Her birthing chambers became renowned throughout Tibet. Mothers traveled for days seeking her assistance, knowing their children would enter the world through a field of grace. "The secret is sacred presence," the being shared. "Birth is not mere biological process. It is a frequency portal through which new consciousness enters existence. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every moment of creation carries vibrational impact. Through conscious presence, you can midwife higher frequencies into form." Practice the sacred creation chamber. Before any act of bringing forth the new, whether a project, relationship, or transformation, first birth elevated frequency within yourself. Feel yourself as a living birthing chamber. Whether creating, nurturing, or simply being present, move as if attending the sacred emergence of consciousness itself. Know that your frequency shapes what comes through you into form. Remember, you are not just participating in creation. You are the sacred chamber through which higher frequencies birth themselves into existence. Chapter 18. The Poet's Power. In the misty mountains of ancient Kashmir, where words held the power to shape reality itself, verse writer Jeremy Collins discovered an extraordinary truth. The poems he composed in different states of consciousness produced dramatically different effects when spoken aloud. some merely entertaining, others capable of healing the sick or calming storms. One twilight, as he contemplated the perfect phrase to capture sunset's glory, a shimmering figure emerged from the gathering dusk, a luminous being whose form seemed woven from living letters, each syllable pulsing with rainbow light. Words carry the frequency of their birth, the syllable sage whispered, voice resonating like chimes in wind. Each phrase remembers the consciousness that conceived it. Jeremy watched in wonder as the being spoke ancient verses into the air. The vibrations became visible, some forming harmonious patterns that blessed all they touched, others creating discordant ripples that disturbed the atmosphere. "Here," the spirit indicated his most powerful poem, "you wrote from the heart's deepest silence. But here," gesturing to lifeless lines, "you forced words through the noise of an agitated mind." The luminous one taught Jeremy to enter profound stillness before touching quill to parchment. From this sacred silence he could perceive the living essence of language itself, how certain combinations of sounds could unlock doorways in consciousness, while others could seal them shut. Most poets arrange words for beauty, the sage revealed, but those who understand verbal frequency can weave spells of transformation through pure vibration. Jeremy learned to craft verses as frequency vessels, each poem carefully tuned to transmit specific states of being. His works gained fame throughout Kashmir, some bringing immediate healing, others awakening dormant gifts, still others inducing spontaneous enlightenment. Other poets noticed that even his recitations seemed to alter the fabric of reality itself. "The secret is sacred resonance," the being shared. "Poetry is not mere arrangement of words. It is the art of capturing divine frequencies in verbal form. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every word you speak carries vibrational impact. Through conscious speech, you can transform reality itself." Practice. The sacred speech shaping. Before speaking or writing, become absolutely still and tune into the frequency you wish to transmit. Feel how different word combinations affect the field of consciousness. Whether communicating, creating, or simply being, move as if weaving spells of light through sound. Feel yourself as both the poet and the living poem of transformation. Remember, you are not just using language, you are shaping reality through the sacred power of frequency-encoded speech. Chapter 19. The Mathematician's Mystery. In the hidden valleys of ancient Babylon, where numbers held the secrets of creation itself, calculation master Brittany Scott discovered something extraordinary. The complex problems that confounded her by day would mysteriously solve themselves when she worked in the ethereal stillness before dawn. One morning, as she traced sacred equations in the temple courtyard, a shimmering presence emerged from the numerical patterns themselves, a luminous being whose form seemed composed of living mathematics, geometric ratios dancing in perfect harmony. Numbers resonate at the frequency of the one who perceives them, the numerical sage whispered, voice vibrating like perfectly tuned strings. Each calculation reflects the consciousness through which it flows. Brittany watched in amazement as the being drew symbols in the air. The equations began to pulse with golden light, each number singing its unique tone, combining into a symphony of mathematical harmony. Most see numbers as lifeless symbols, the sage revealed, weaving equations that spiraled into infinite patterns. But those who understand numeric frequency can commune with the living mathematics of existence. The Luminous One taught Brittany to enter states of pristine clarity before attempting calculations. From this elevated awareness, she could perceive how numbers naturally organized themselves into elegant solutions, as if guided by an invisible hand. Force solves nothing, the being explained while demonstrating how aggressive calculation created mathematical discord. But when you match the frequency of numeric harmony, solutions emerge effortlessly. Brittany learned to approach mathematics as a meditation, allowing her consciousness to rise until she could feel the living pulse within each number. Her solutions became renowned throughout Babylon, not just for their accuracy, but for the strange beauty they contained, as if they revealed glimpses of universal order. The secret is sacred resonance, the sage shared. Mathematics is not mere computation. It is the art of aligning with the numeric frequencies that orchestrate reality. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every number carries vibrational essence. Through elevated consciousness, you can perceive the living mathematics that shapes existence itself. Practice. The sacred number communion. Before working with numbers, whether calculating, measuring, or solving problems, first raise your frequency to match mathematical harmony. Feel how different numeric combinations create distinct energetic patterns. Whether computing, analyzing, or simply observing numerical relationships, move as if dancing with the living intelligence of numbers themselves. Remember, you are not just manipulating symbols. You are communing with the sacred frequencies that encode the universe's deepest truths. Chapter 20. The Judge's Justice. In the sun-bleached courts of ancient Phoenicia, where scales of copper hung in sacred balance, wisdom keeper Mark Edwards faced an impossible choice between two merchant families, each claiming ownership of a priceless trading route. As he pondered the tangled testimonies late into the night, the courthouse crystals began to pulse with strange light. From their geometric heart emerged a radiant figure, the eternal spirit of justice herself, whose form shifted constantly between perfectly balanced opposites. "Your judgments mirror your inner state," the being whispered, voice resonating like perfectly balanced chimes. "When you are turbulent within, chaos manifests without. When you achieve inner harmony, wisdom flows naturally." Mark watched in wonder as the spirit touched the scales. They transformed into living light, revealing how every decision created ripples through the fabric of reality itself. He saw how judgments made from lower frequencies perpetuated conflict, while those from elevated states restored natural order. "Most judges seek truth through facts alone," the balance keeper revealed, demonstrating how evidence arranged itself differently at various frequency levels. "But those who understand justice's vibration can perceive the perfect point of harmony in any dispute." The Luminous One taught Mark to raise his frequency before hearing cases. From this elevated awareness, he could see beyond surface conflicts to the deeper patterns seeking resolution. Solutions emerged organically, as if reality itself was suggesting the most harmonious path forward. "Force creates resistance," the being explained while showing how pushing for decisions created energetic backlash. "But when you embody the frequency of divine justice, truth reveals itself." Mark learned to prepare for judgments through sacred attunement, allowing his consciousness to expand until he could feel the living pulse of justice itself. His court became renowned throughout Phoenicia, not just for fair verdicts, but for how his decisions seemed to heal the very causes of conflict, preventing future disputes. The secret is sacred equilibrium, the spirit shared. Justice is not mere decision-making. It is the art of aligning with the frequency of universal balance. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every choice carries vibrational consequence. Through elevated consciousness, you can access the frequency of perfect justice that underlies all of existence. Practice, the sacred balance point. Before making important decisions, first raise your frequency above the level where the problem was created. Feel how different choices affect the field of harmony. Whether judging, choosing, or simply observing, move as if in partnership with the living intelligence of justice itself. Trust that when you align with this frequency, wisdom naturally emerges. Remember, you are not just deciding outcomes. You are participating in the sacred dance of universal balance through conscious choice. Part 3. Living the Frequency. Chapter 21. The Diplomat's Dance. In the fertile valley between ancient Sumer and Akkad, where the fate of nations hung delicate as morning dew, peace negotiator Amanda Rivera discovered an extraordinary secret. The most volatile conflicts would mysteriously dissolve when she approached them in certain states of consciousness, as if discord itself could not exist in her presence. One evening, as warring tribes gathered for yet another failed treaty attempt, the desert winds began to spiral in an unusual dance. From their swirling heart emerged a luminous being whose form flowed like liquid moonlight between opposing forces, never fully settling on either side. Conflict exists only at lower frequencies, the harmony sage whispered, voice melodious as wind through temple chimes. Rise above it, and peace reveals itself as the natural state. Amanda watched in wonder as the being demonstrated the art of energetic diplomacy. The spirit would shift into perfect resonance with each opposing party, then gradually elevate both frequencies until they naturally harmonized. Like two discordant notes being tuned to the same pitch, the conflicting energies would merge into unexpected accord. Most negotiators try to force agreement, the sage revealed, while orchestrating invisible currents of peace. But those who understand frequency can create fields where harmony is inevitable. The Luminous One taught Amanda to establish elevated frequency containers before any negotiation. From this rarefied space, she could perceive how different proposals affected the field of possibility. Solutions emerged organically, as if reality itself was suggesting paths of reconciliation that transcended the original conflict. Words mean little, the being explained while demonstrating how even perfect arguments could create resistance. But when you embody the frequency of peace, hearts naturally open. Amanda learned to prepare for diplomatic missions through sacred attunement, expanding her consciousness until she could hold space for all perspectives simultaneously. Her negotiations became legendary throughout Mesopotamia, not just for resolving surface disputes, but for healing ancient wounds between peoples. The secret is sacred inclusion, the spirit shared. True diplomacy is not compromise. It is the art of raising frequencies until unity reveals itself as the only truth. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every interaction carries potential for harmony or discord. Through elevated consciousness, you can access the frequency where peace naturally prevails. Practice, the sacred peace presence. Before entering any challenging interaction, first raise your own frequency above the level of conflict. Feel how different approaches affect the field of possibility. Whether negotiating, resolving, or simply being, move as if conducting an orchestra of peace. Trust that when you hold the highest frequency, harmony naturally emerges. Remember, you are not just solving problems. You are conducting the sacred dance of unity through conscious presence. Chapter 22. The Mother's Mastery. In the serene mountain villages of ancient Tibet, where wisdom echoed through generations like temple bells, parent-teacher Rachel Montgomery made a remarkable discovery. The children in her care would transform instantly, from chaos to calm, from struggle to flow, when she maintained certain states of consciousness. One winter evening, as she tended to particularly challenging youngsters in the meditation hall, the butter lamps began to flicker in an unusual pattern. From their gentle dance emerged a radiant maternal presence, whose form shifted between young mother and ancient grandmother, emanating unconditional love. Children naturally attuned to the highest frequency present, the being whispered, voice warm as summer honey. They are perfect mirrors, reflecting whatever vibration surrounds them. Rachel watched in awe as the spirit demonstrated this truth. When the being's frequency lowered slightly, the children became instantly restless. As the presence elevated its vibration, the same children naturally settled into peaceful focus, like flowers turning toward sunlight. Most adults try to control behavior, the maternal sage revealed while weaving patterns of light around a giggling toddler. But those who understand frequency know that children automatically harmonize with elevated states. The luminous one taught Rachel to maintain her own high frequency regardless of external chaos. From this anchored presence, she could observe how different emotional states rippled through groups of children like waves through water. Positive transformation occurred effortlessly when she held steady in love's highest vibration. Force creates resistance, the being explained while calming a tantrum through pure presence. But when you embody the frequency of divine nurturing, children naturally blossom. Rachel learned to prepare for teaching through sacred attunement, expanding her heart until she could hold space for every child's unique expression. Her classes became renowned throughout Tibet, not just for their order, but for how children emerged radiating joy and wisdom beyond their years. The secret is sacred presence, the spirit shared. Parenting is not about controlling. It is the art of maintaining such pure frequency that elevation becomes contagious. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every child is a frequency sensor of exquisite sensitivity. Through elevated consciousness, you can create fields where their highest potential naturally unfolds. Practice the sacred nurturing field. Before engaging with children, first raise your own frequency to the level of unconditional love. Feel how different emotional states affect the field around you. Whether teaching, parenting, or simply being with young ones, move as if conducting an orchestra of light. Trust that when you hold the highest vibration, children naturally harmonize. Remember, you are not just managing behavior. You are cultivating the sacred garden of next-generation consciousness through your own elevated presence. Chapter 23. The Explorer's Evolution. In the mist-shrouded valleys of ancient Nepal, where hidden paths whispered secrets to those who could listen, Wandering explorer Brian Thompson discovered that his journeys took on miraculous qualities when he traveled in certain states of consciousness. The more elevated his inner vibration, the more magic seemed to unfold before him. One twilight, as he sought shelter in a remote mountain cave, the crystalline walls began to shimmer with an otherworldly light. From their depths emerged an ethereal being whose form rippled like flowing silk across distant lands, simultaneously present in countless locations. "The path reveals itself to those who match its frequency," the spirit whispered, voice echoing like wind through ancient corridors. "Every destination already exists. Your vibration determines which version you experience." Brian watched in wonder as the being demonstrated how reality shifted at different frequency levels. In lower states, paths were treacherous and allies few. But as consciousness elevated, the same journey transformed. Dangerous beasts became guides, storms parted at crucial moments, and strangers offered aid precisely when needed. Most travelers try to force their way forward, the compass spirit revealed, while weaving threads of light between distant points. But those who understand frequency can dance with the very fabric of experience. The Luminous One taught Brian to prepare for journeys through vibrational attunement. From this elevated awareness, he could sense which paths held highest potential, as if reality itself was suggesting the most miraculous route forward. His expeditions became legendary throughout Nepal, not just for discoveries made, but for the extraordinary synchronicities that seemed to guide his every step. "Intention creates direction," the being explained, while revealing how different thoughts magnetized different experiences. But frequency determines which reality version manifests. Brian learned to maintain sacred traveling consciousness, expanding his awareness until he could feel the living pulse of synchronicity itself. Through this practice, locked doors mysteriously opened, needed resources appeared at perfect moments, and even nature seemed to conspire to support his quests. "The secret is sacred trust," the spirit shared. "Exploration is not about controlling the journey. It is about matching the frequency where magic becomes natural law. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every path holds infinite potential versions. Through elevated consciousness, you can access the reality stream where synchronicity flows as naturally as water. Practice the sacred journey state. Before any venture, first raise your frequency to the level where magic dwells. Feel how different states affect the field of possibility around you. Whether traveling near or far, move as if reality itself delights in creating miracles for your journey. Trust that when you maintain the highest vibration, the perfect path naturally reveals itself. Remember, you are not just taking trips. You are dancing with the sacred choreography of synchronicity through conscious exploration. Chapter 24. The Inventor's Innovation. In the hidden workshops of ancient Alexandria, where steam and starlight danced through copper pipes and crystalline lenses, creation master Tiffany Chang discovered that her most extraordinary inventions emerged only when she achieved certain rarefied states of consciousness. Her greatest breakthroughs seemed to download directly from the cosmos itself. One midnight, as she puzzled over a particularly challenging mechanical problem, her collection of half-finished devices began to pulse with an ethereal glow. From their assembled parts arose a shimmering figure whose form constantly shifted between simple machines and complex mechanisms, as if embodying the very essence of invention. "Creation flows through frequency channels," the inspiration sage hummed, voice resonating like perfectly tuned gears. "The universe is an infinite library of possibilities. Your vibration determines which innovations you can access." Tiffany observed in amazement as the being demonstrated how different consciousness states affected the creative flow. In lower frequencies, ideas emerged slowly and innovations felt forced. But as the vibration elevated, fully formed inventions would suddenly manifest in her mind, complete with every intricate detail. Most inventors try to think their way to breakthroughs. The mechanical spirit revealed while orchestrating dancing patterns of light and shadow. But those who understand frequency can receive downloads directly from the source of all creation. The Luminous One taught Tiffany to prepare her workshop through sacred attunement. From this elevated space, she could sense which projects held highest potential, as if the underlying fabric of reality was suggesting what wanted to be invented next. Her creations became legendary throughout Alexandria, not just for their ingenuity, but for how they seemed to solve problems no one had even recognized yet. "The mind can only rearrange known elements," the being explained while demonstrating how truly novel solutions arrived through higher channels. But frequency determines access to the unknown. Tiffany learned to maintain peak creative consciousness, expanding her awareness until she could feel the pulse of innovation itself. Through this practice, complete blueprints would unfold in her mind, materials would mysteriously appear when needed, and even her tools seemed to guide her hands toward perfection. "The secret is sacred receptivity," the Spirit shared. "Invention is not about forcing solutions. It is about matching the frequency where inspiration naturally flows." This wisdom is offered now to you. Every challenge contains infinite potential solutions. Through elevated consciousness, you can access the reality stream where breakthrough innovations emerge effortlessly. Practice the sacred creation state. Before any creative endeavor, first raise your frequency to where inspiration dwells. Feel how different states affect your access to novel solutions. Whether inventing, solving, or simply creating, move as if the universe delights in revealing its secrets through you. Trust that when you maintain the highest vibration, revolutionary ideas naturally emerge. Remember, you are not just solving problems. You are dancing with the sacred pulse of innovation through conscious creation. Chapter 25. The Leader's Light. In the verdant valleys of ancient Peru, where sacred mountains pierced the clouds like crystal spires, village chief Stephen Garcia made an extraordinary discovery. The well-being of his community seemed to rise and fall not with his decisions, but with the quality of his inner state. One twilight, as he meditated in the temple of living light seeking guidance for his troubled village, the sacred fire before him transformed into a luminous being whose form shifted between mighty condor and wise elder, radiating the pure authority of divine leadership. A leader's frequency ripples through the entire village like sunlight through water. The presence spoke, voice resonating with the power of thunder and the gentleness of rain. Your people mirror whatever vibration you embody. Stephen watched in wonder as the being demonstrated this truth. When the spirit lowered its frequency slightly, the temple's crystalline walls dulled, and even the distant sounds of village life grew discordant. As the presence elevated its vibration, those same crystals blazed with inner fire, and harmonious songs drifted up from the valley. Most leaders focus only on outer actions, the crowned sage revealed while weaving threads of golden light between the temple and village. But those who understand frequency know that inner state shapes outer reality. The Radiant One taught Stephen to maintain sovereign consciousness regardless of external challenges. From this elevated awareness, he could observe how his different emotional states created invisible waves that transformed the entire community. When he held steady in wisdom's highest vibration, conflicts naturally resolved, and cooperation spontaneously emerged. Force creates resistance, the being explained while harmonizing discordant energies through pure presence. But when you embody the frequency of divine leadership, the people naturally align with their highest good. Stephen learned to prepare for council meetings through sacred attunement, expanding his heart until he could hold space for every villager's needs. His leadership became renowned throughout the Andes, not just for prosperity created, but for how community members began manifesting their greatest gifts. The secret is sovereign presence, the Spirit shared. Leadership is not about controlling others. It is the art of maintaining such pure frequency that elevation becomes contagious. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every group naturally attunes to its leader's vibration. Through elevated consciousness, you can create fields where collective potential naturally unfolds. Practice the sovereign frequency field. Before any leadership role, first raise your own frequency to the level of divine wisdom. Feel how different emotional states affect the field around you. Whether guiding many or few, move as if conducting an orchestra of human potential. Trust that when you hold the highest vibration, those you lead naturally harmonize with their greatest good. Remember, you are not just managing others. You are cultivating gardens of collective consciousness through your own elevated presence. Chapter 26. The Lover's Language. In the moonlit gardens of ancient Persia, where jasmine and roses whispered love's secrets to the stars, romance guide Cristina Morales made a profound discovery about the true nature of connection. Her gift for uniting destined pairs came not from matchmaking skill, but from her ability to sense and harmonize the invisible frequencies between hearts. One evening, as she sat beside the garden of eternal love's mystical fountain, 2 doves descended, transforming into radiant beings whose forms constantly merged and separated like dancing flames, yet remained eternally connected by threads of golden light. Love speaks not through words, but through resonance. The twin flames sang in perfect harmony. When hearts attune their frequencies, the universe itself conspires to unite them. Cristina watched in wonder as the beings demonstrated how different frequency states affected connections. In lower vibrations, even soulmates struggled to recognize each other. But as consciousness elevated, hearts naturally synchronized, transcending all barriers of circumstance. Most seek love through outer beauty, the heart twins revealed while weaving patterns of light between separated lovers. But those who understand frequency know that lasting unions form through vibrational harmony. The luminous ones taught Cristina to help couples align their heart frequencies before offering guidance. From this elevated awareness, she could see how emotional discord created static between lovers, while aligned frequencies generated fields of magnetic attraction, so powerful they could unite souls across continents. Compatibility lies not in common interests, they explained while demonstrating how synchronized hearts naturally resolved conflicts, but in the capacity to maintain harmony amid life's ever-changing song. Christina learned to guide couples in maintaining love's highest frequency, expanding their awareness until they could feel the sacred pulse of connection itself. Her wisdom transformed countless relationships throughout Persia, not through clever counsel, but by teaching lovers to dance in energetic synchronicity. The secret is sacred resonance, the beings shared. Love is not about finding the right person. It is about becoming the frequency that attracts your divine complement. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every heart holds infinite potential for connection. Through elevated consciousness, you can create fields where love's deepest magic naturally unfolds. Practice. The twin flame frequency. Before any romantic interaction, first raise your own heart's vibration to pure love's level. Feel how different emotional states affect your capacity for connection. Whether seeking love or deepening existing bonds, move as if already dancing in perfect harmony with your beloved. Trust that when you maintain love's highest frequency, divine union naturally manifests. Remember, you are not just seeking partnership. You are becoming the living embodiment of love's sacred frequency. Chapter 27. The Elder's Eternity. In the mist-shrouded valleys of ancient Tibet, where sacred hot springs bubbled with the earth's eternal breath, wisdom keeper Joshua Bennett discovered an extraordinary truth about aging. His remarkable vitality and youthful spirit came not from herbs or exercises, but from his mastery of life force frequency. One dawn, as he soaked in a crystalline pool seeking deeper understanding of longevity's mysteries, the steam before him coalesced into a luminous being whose form shifted between youth and elder, radiating the timeless essence of perpetual renewal. The body ages according to its vibrational state, the ageless one spoke, voice flowing like liquid gold. Those who maintain elevated frequency naturally preserve their life force. Joshua observed in amazement as the being demonstrated how different consciousness states affected cellular vitality. In lower frequencies, energy stagnated and tissues aged rapidly. But as vibration elevated, every cell seemed to dance with renewed life, glowing with regenerative power. Most attempt to fight time through external means, the vitality sage revealed while manipulating streams of life force energy. But those who understand frequency know that aging is merely crystallized consciousness. The Radiant One taught Joshua to maintain his body's peak resonance through sacred attunement. From this elevated state, he could feel how thoughts and emotions directly affected his cellular harmony. When he held steady in the highest vibration, his entire being hummed with perpetual restoration. Force creates resistance, the being explained while demonstrating eternal circulation of ki. But when you embody the frequency of timelessness, regeneration flows naturally. Joshua learned to start each day by aligning with the frequency of youth, expanding his awareness until he could feel the pulse of renewal in every cell. His teachings transformed the valley's understanding of aging, not through complex practices, but through maintaining the vibration of vitality itself. The secret is sacred resonance. the Spirit shared. Longevity is not about fighting time. It is about dancing in harmony with eternal frequencies. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every cell contains infinite potential for renewal. Through elevated consciousness, you can create fields where vitality naturally flourishes. Practice the eternal frequency. Before sleep and upon waking, raise your frequency to match the vibration of perpetual youth. Feel how different states affect your cellular energy. Move through each day as if your body is constantly renewing itself. Trust that when you maintain the highest vibration, natural regeneration becomes your default state. Remember, you are not just preserving youth. You are embodying the timeless frequency of eternal life itself. Chapter 28. The Prophet's Purpose. In the sacred caves of ancient Delphi, where vapors of prophecy rose from earth's depths like whispered secrets of time itself, vision seer Elizabeth Hayes discovered that true prophecy flowed not from mysterious fumes, but from the art of attuning to the frequency of future's song. One midnight, as she meditated beside the sacred chasm seeking clearer visions, the mists before her crystallized into a luminous being whose form rippled between past and future, like waves on time's infinite ocean, radiating the pure essence of prophetic sight. Prophecy speaks not through forced vision, the timeless one breathed, voice echoing across all moments at once, but through perfect resonance with the eternal now. Elizabeth watched in wonder as the being demonstrated how different frequency states affected prophetic clarity. In lower vibrations, visions came fragmented and clouded. But as consciousness elevated, the future's patterns emerged with crystalline precision, revealing the delicate threads connecting all moments. Most seers grasp at shadows, the Oracle Master revealed while weaving streams of possibility through the air. But those who understand frequency know that future sight requires perfect vibrational receptivity. The Radiant One taught Elizabeth to clear her inner channels through sacred attunement before seeking visions. From this elevated state, she could feel how emotional static distorted prophetic reception. When she maintained the highest frequency, future insights flowed like pure spring water. Force creates distortion, the being explained, while harmonizing time streams through presence alone. But when you match the frequency of eternity, truth reveals itself naturally. Elizabeth learned to prepare for readings through complete energetic purification, expanding her awareness until she could hold space for infinite possibility. Her prophecies became renowned throughout Greece, not for dramatic predictions, but for their crystal clarity and gentle wisdom. The secret is sacred receptivity, the Spirit shared. Prophecy is not about controlling future sight. It is about becoming so pure a channel that divine wisdom flows unimpeded. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every moment contains infinite potential for revelation. Through elevated consciousness, you can create fields where insight naturally emerges. Practice the Oracle frequency. Before seeking guidance, first raise your frequency to match eternal wisdom's vibration. Feel how different states affect your receptivity to truth. Whether reading signs or receiving visions, move as if already dancing in harmony with time's endless flow. Trust that when you maintain the clearest frequency, divine guidance naturally manifests. Remember, You are not just predicting the future. You are becoming a living instrument through which universal wisdom plays its timeless song. Chapter 29. The Master's Manifestation. In the crystalline temples of ancient Lemuria, where reality shimmered like morning dew on gossamer dreams, reality shaper David Kim discovered that manifestation required not force of will, but perfect resonance with the frequency of creation itself. One twilight, as he meditated beneath the temple of infinite possibilities' quantum dome, the air before him transformed into a luminous being whose form constantly shifted between all potential states at once, embodying pure creative force. Reality flows not from desire alone, the quantum mystic hummed, voice vibrating through all dimensions simultaneously, but from matching the exact frequency of what you wish to create. David observed in awe as the being demonstrated how different consciousness states affected manifestation. In lower vibrations, desires remained trapped in possibility. But as frequency elevated, thought transformed instantly into form, dancing from potential to reality like lightning across summer skies. Most struggle against creation's current, the reality weaver revealed, while materializing and dissolving worlds with each breath. But those who understand frequency know that manifestation is simply matching the vibration of what already exists in infinite possibility. The Radiant One taught David to first attune his entire being to the exact frequency of his desired creation before attempting to manifest. From this elevated state, he could feel how emotional discord created static in the field of possibility. When he achieved perfect resonance, reality reshaped itself effortlessly around his aligned intention. Effort creates resistance, the being explained, while demonstrating instant manifestation through pure frequency alignment. But when you become the living embodiment of what you seek, creation flows naturally. David learned to start each manifestation by becoming a perfect vibrational match for his desire, expanding his awareness until he could feel its reality already existing. His teachings transformed understanding throughout Lemuria, not through complex rituals, but through pure resonance with the frequency of creation itself. The secret is sacred harmony, the Quantum One shared. Manifestation is not about forcing reality. It is about tuning yourself to the frequency where your desire already exists. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every possibility exists in infinite potential. Through elevated consciousness, you can create fields where desires naturally materialize. Practice. The creation frequency. Before manifesting, raise your frequency to match the vibration of your desire as if already fulfilled. Feel how different states affect your creative power. Move through each day as if already dancing in harmony with your manifestation. Trust that when you maintain perfect resonance, reality naturally reshapes to match your frequency. Remember, you are not just creating your desires. You are becoming the living frequency of infinite possibility itself. Chapter 30. The Teacher's Transformation. In the sacred mountain temples of ancient Peru, where wisdom echoed through stone corridors like whispers from the stars themselves, wisdom transmitter Kimberly Rodriguez discovered that the highest spiritual attainment came not from solitary enlightenment, but through the sacred art of elevating others. One moonlit evening, as she prepared her teaching space with ceremonial herbs and crystals, The smoke from her incense coalesced into a luminous being, whose form seemed to contain all wisdom, yet remained eternally humble, radiating pure transmission energy. The greatest elevation comes not from seeking higher states, the teaching spirit sang, voice resonating with the frequency of pure knowledge, but from becoming the bridge that raises others. Kimberly watched in wonder as the being demonstrated how different teaching frequencies affected student awakening. When sharing from ego or intellectual knowledge alone, learning remained shallow. But when teaching flowed from the heart's highest vibration, entire rooms would spontaneously elevate into expanded consciousness. Most teachers transmit information, the wisdom keeper revealed while weaving threads of light between hearts. But those who understand frequency know that true teaching is a sacred dance of mutual ascension. The Radiant One taught Kimberly to prepare for each lesson by first dissolving her separate self into pure service consciousness. From this elevated state, she could feel how personal attachment created barriers to transmission. When she became an empty vessel for wisdom's flow, both teacher and student naturally spiraled upward together. Hierarchy creates distance, the being explained while demonstrating how knowledge flows through resonance rather than force. But when you teach from the frequency of oneness, transformation becomes inevitable. Kimberly learned to approach each student as both teacher and learner, expanding her awareness until she could hold space for infinite mutual growth. Her teaching transformed the temple's understanding, not through complex methods, but through pure devotion to collective elevation. The secret is sacred service, the Spirit shared. Teaching mastery is not about accumulating knowledge. It is about becoming so transparent that universal wisdom naturally flows through you to elevate all. This wisdom is offered now to you. Every interaction contains infinite potential for shared awakening. Through devoted service consciousness, you create fields where collective transformation naturally unfolds. Practice the teaching frequency. Before sharing wisdom, raise your frequency into pure service alignment. Feel how different states affect transmission clarity. Approach each teaching opportunity as a sacred dance of mutual elevation. Trust that when you maintain the frequency of selfless sharing, both guide and seeker naturally ascend together. Remember, you are not just teaching others, you are becoming the living frequency of wisdom's eternal transmission. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Now the final tale has been told, yet its ending is no ending at all. For what has been offered is not a closed book, but an open resonance, threads of wisdom woven into your own being. The merchant's breath, the jeweler's crystal, the sailor's song, all now rest in the quiet chambers of your heart, waiting to be awakened through your daily steps. Know this, the sages and spirits you met in these chapters do not vanish with silence. They live on as frequencies within you, guides disguised as gratitude, peace, and love. The world will still test you with storms, with shadows, with weights that seem unbearable. But remember what you have heard. Resistance creates dissonance. Harmony transforms all. Carry these teachings not as stories, but as instruments. Let your thoughts tune like the shepherd's lyre, your words shimmer like the poet's verse, your presence radiate like the healer's song. And when life asks you to choose, create, or lead, may you recall that the true power is never outside, but always in the vibration you hold. Thus the circle closes, only to open again within you. The resonance is yours now, an eternal frequency waiting to be played.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.